So it was some time ago that I had an equestrian edition. I offered a one-of-one equestrian edition Helderburg. Well, it's live, it's here, it's in the flesh, and this is Ippos, the one-of-one equestrian edition. So it was some time ago that I had on the website, on Helderburg that is, that we were doing an equestrian edition, a one-of-one. And it created a lot of excitement. It got a fair amount of press, and now it's here. And again, this is a one-of-one. We are not going to repeat the color. We are not going to repeat the interior. We simply will not repeat this, that it is complete, it is done. And from time to time, if you follow us, you'll see that we do a special edition, something that's truly unique and different that you simply don't see on a classic Land Rover Defender. In fact, we also had one that was named Bellatrix, and that one was an invite only to existing clients. And in fact, we did 3 of them. And Bellatrix was the armored version, the bulletproof version, the one that is truly unique, or the 3 that was truly unique. Again, and it was an exclusive. We did 3, we ended that cycle. And that's the same for the equestrian edition. The first thing you'll notice is the color. This is a custom mix, and we spent a lot of time, we did a lot of paint mixing, trying to find the right color that would represent what we feel equestrian is. And that if you drive this and you take it to, let's just say, a polo match, or any type of an equestrian event, any type of a competition, that people are going to look at this and go, oh, that's truly British, that's truly an equestrian design. And we kept the staples of what a Helderburg is, meaning the headlights, the grille, the bump out grille, the Helderburg bumper, the stance, of course, because I mean, the stance is something that everyone loves, and this is what makes it a Helderburg, in the sense that it stands out, that there could be no badges, there could be no cling on the windshield, no badges whatsoever. And if you see it sitting there, you would go, that's unmistakably a Helderburg. So we wanted to keep that design, but where we varied on things to make it the truly equestrian edition. One, the color, and we have it pulled into the bright sun here so you can really see the depth and the metallic, and the way the metallic, and it just dances around, because as I'm walking, I can see all the different layers of the metallic. I can see a little bit of the pearl, a little bit of the silver, and a little bit of the gold in the metallic. So it's something to be seen in person. That's absolutely positively the fact of it all. And I say that a lot of times. It's great to watch the pictures, or watch the videos and see the pictures, but it just simply does not do a Helderburg justice. This is something that once you see it in person, you will say, now I completely understand why Helderburg sets the benchmark, because the perfection of the paint, the depth of the paint, the process that goes in to make this paint so perfect is unmistakable. And I mean, and it's to the simple fact that you can look in the corners right here of how this body panel meets this one and this one, and you can clearly see that everything was unbolted, everything was separated, and everything was painted individually in the paint booth, and then the vehicle was assembled, which creates a perfection of the paint. There is no paint buildup. There's no paint filling in the cracks or anything. This is done proper. This is done better than the factory originally did this in 25 years ago, basically. But this is beyond luxury car level. And again, if you see it in person, you'd understand. Arches, I mean, this is our traditional arch. It's a non-standard, so it's hand laid, and it's the right amount of an arch that gives it that rugged feel and allows the tire to have that little bit of a poke outside of the arch to just provide that stance. And then, of course, the black trim here that goes in that we do on all of the arches. And not only does it protect the paint, but it allows the eye to kind of break away from the color, and it just creates a really nice visual appeal. Moving back to, painted the mirror backs, but we also did the step-up bars too, that they're painted the same as the body color. And to look from the outside, it's really a study of restraint, that we could have done a lot more. We could have added roll cage, we could have added lights, we could have added a winch, we could have done all of that. But does that really represent what Ippos would be an equestrian edition? And I found it to be not. And I mean, and that's the thing about a quiet luxury. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That you have to understand, what is the end going to be? What is the end product going to be? And how do we get there? Just because we have all of these different options and these custom parts that we manufacture doesn't mean that every last Helderburg should have everything, because every Helderburg has a persona, it has a name, it has a meaning, and it fits a unique personality. And that's why when you look at the different builds that we've done over the years, you'll see that no two are alike, that there's so much variety in the various Helderbergs that we've done. I mean, from vibrant British coat reds to morning sunshine, you know, bronze, orange, golds, to Hermes orange, I mean, blues, and you know, I'm still waiting to be able to do a pink one. So if you're watching this video, and I know when I say the word pink, you go, oh, no, not pink. It would be a very beautiful pink. And in fact, and I'm just thinking here, but if you haven't seen Draco on Helderburg.com, you should definitely go to the website and search under the 110s and look at Draco. Draco is a beautiful color. And in fact, well, if you want to see some pink, basically go see Draco. But it's a magnolia pink, and that's something that's absolutely, you should go see it. But anyway, so there you go. And I'll tell you about another color in a minute that we're working on. But the real equestrian feel of everything that's going to be so unique, one of one, is on the interior. So now I want to show you the interior, because I assure you, you've never ever seen an interior like this on a classic Land Rover. In fact, you've never seen it on any vehicle. This interior, really, you would think it would belong in a Rolls-Royce or possibly even an Aston Martin. I mean, it has that British vibe, but it's definitely unique. So let's take a look at it. So now that we're at the interior of Ippos, which, by the way, is Greek and stands for horse, I'm going to be completely, brutally honest. You're looking at this interior right now, and this is an interior that you're either going to absolutely love it, or you're going to go, I don't know if this is an interior that I really appreciate. And to be sincere, what I've realized about this interior, as I've had friends visit and they've looked at the interior, and there's been that two different types. But as the friends have been here for a little while, that they've, you know, stayed with us and visited, and they would come out and we went for rides, and they've seen the interior, that it's kind of interesting. It reminds me of the first time I saw the color Bahama Gold. But it's interesting that at first they go, I don't know. And they want to be polite, and they just simply, I don't know. And then we go for another ride and another ride and another ride. And then they're like, you know, this interior is really interesting. And then we go for a few more rides, and they walk past it, and they're like, this interior is really unique. And I can see the psychology changing. And to the point, and this has happened multiple times now, to the point that when we go for a ride, in fact, that they said, I like this interior actually. So it's a very polarizing interior. And for the simple fact of why it's polarizing is because it's not something that you see on any vehicle. That the vast majority of vehicles always play it safe. Whether it's a luxury vehicle, a Mercedes or a Bentley or a Jaguar or an Aston Martin, not an Aston Martin, but interior always plays it safe, as do exterior colors when car manufacturers are doing that. And they do that for the simple reason that they want to be able to sell it. So if they can appeal to the masses, they know it will be much easier to sell it, and they just don't want to take the chance, the risk. But that's not the Helderburg ethos, that we are creating one of ones, and we are creating them for a specific, unique individual. And this is exactly the case with this interior. And as you look around this interior, you will see things that are absolutely not on any other classic Land Rover Defender by anybody, including us. I mean, because this is a one-of-one unique design. This is our Equestrian edition, and I wanted to do a lot of different things to it. So first thing, let's just talk about the color. The color, what it reminded me of, and if you're a study of English, that you love English fashion, that the thought of an English library, or if you also really love, you know, the design, the timelessness, the design of Ralph Lauren, if you've ever been to his flagship in New York City or a flagship that's in Chicago, as you walk around either one of those stores, and then you look at this interior, you're going to go, wow, this fits in perfectly to a English country estate. And that's exactly what this looks like inside. In fact, one of my favorite Chesterfield sofas is this color green. And it's tufted and just has that patina to it, and it looks a little worn. And so again, this looks like an English Chesterfield sofa is what it looks like, this green. It already has that worn look to it. The stitching matches, so it's not too busy, because again, just because you can doesn't mean you should, because I could have easily said, oh, let's do the stitching in the contrasting brown, but that would have been too busy. That would have taken away from the luxurious of it, or the luxury of it. It just would have looked, it would have been too busy. Let's just put it that way. But then the accents, the piping that's on the seats, the brown. So I was pulling in that brown leather that you would see on a saddle or a really nice pair of equestrian boots. And then I did the brown throughout the cabin a little bit here and there. So for example, around the glove tray right here, normally this is painted the same color as the exterior, but I did it in leather, the brown leather, to match it. The bottom, the air conditioning is all in the green patina leather, and then a little bit of brown in the center, a little bit of brown on the steering wheel, the top. And of course, I went back and forth going, oh, let me make the center console all green and don't do the brown. But I just wanted to bring the things in together. And then even when you open the center console, you'll see that the lid is all covered in leather too. And then the inside is done in an Italian Alcantara. So this is unique. If you see the headliner itself, it's green. Normally our headliners are ivory, ivory and off-white, browns, so those different tones. So this is just, it's a green headliner, which is completely unique. And then another thing that I did is I wrapped the B-pillars in leather too. And then also did the window surrounds all in leather. And then if you look at the doors, I did the little brown strip here. Again, this feels like horse tack. It feels like the tack that you would use with your horse. And then the door handles themselves also in brown, that feels like a horse tack, basically, is what it does. So moving to the carpet took forever to find the right carpet. This is a very deep, plush wool carpet, and then we did all of the edging in the brown leather, the brown patina leather. So again, yes, the interior is totally polarizing. It's totally different, but I've come to realize that as people start to experience it more and more, that they go, that really is special. And I know ultimately the client is in love with this, and I know as they drive it more and the leather starts to patina and this vehicle starts to form memories, this will be so unique. It's a definite one of a kind. This is not the type of vehicle that you have for a little while and then decide to sell it. It becomes part of the family. And we're at the final stages now. Audio system is going to go in. It is going to be a high fidelity audio system with our French speakers and our Italian amplifiers, and it will be custom tuned. So this is a bespoke audio system, custom tuned specifically for this cabin. Now let's move to the cargo area, because that's where you're going to see the seats and see the stitching. Love the stitching right here. So let's take a look at the cargo. So looking at the rear cargo area, before I get into that, backup camera. I'm always asked, does it have backup cameras? And yes, it has backup camera. Just the color. I just want to talk about the color a little more because, again, as I said, this is a unique color. It's a one of one. We're not going to repeat this color again. That's it. It's done. But a couple other colors. I mentioned earlier Bahama Gold. The first time that I saw Bahama Gold on a Range Rover, it was an older Range Rover, like a 1974 Range Rover in Bahama Gold. And I was at a Land Rover event. The guy in Cherry Valley, New York is where I was at, this Land Rover event. And this gentleman pulls up in this Bahama Gold Range Rover. And I remember it like it was yesterday, and it was many, many years ago. And I looked at that Range Rover, and the first thing that came to mind is, why in the world would anybody paint a Range Rover that color? Because the gentleman completely restored this Range Rover. He bought it in really bad condition, showed me the pictures, and restored it completely and painted it Bahama Gold. And at that split second, for the life of me, I just simply couldn't figure out why he would have picked that color. Why didn't he go with a green? Why didn't he go with a black? Why didn't he go with a silver? And as the event went on and everything, and I was in I had a white Defender at the time, by the way, just the classic white. And as I would go past his Range Rover different times, I found myself stopping and looking at it and stopping and looking at it and over and over. And before that event was done for the day, I had to have something in Bahama Gold. And therefore I ended up later on doing in Bahama Gold because it was a color that grew on me. And to this day, many years later, because you know, you kind of think about a color, oh, I might like it for a little while, but I would get tired of it. But many years later, Bahama Gold is probably one of my favorite colors. It's unique, it's bold, it's different. It's a beautiful color. And I think it's the same that goes for the interior here. The exterior is a unique color, but it's what you would expect on a Defender. So talking about colors, and I know here a couple other things. I've always wanted to do a Defender, and I'm going to say the color, and it's going to polarize you, and you're going to go, oh, no, no way. But I've always wanted to do a Helderburg in purple. And I know you're going, oh, you're thinking of Barney and all that. That's not the type of purple I'm talking about. And in fact, I am building one for myself in purple, a D90, and you will see it soon. But it's not like any other purple you've ever seen. It's a purple that Rolls-Royce used many years ago, and it's a beautiful color. It's very luxurious. It has a very regal feel, and it's not the type of purple you think. So if you're watching this video, just make sure you sign up for, be on our email list at helderburg.com, because I'll be showing this purple 90 Helderburg before too much longer. And I think you will see that sometimes we shouldn't limit ourselves, that we should challenge ourselves to try new things. It's really boring to be the same as everyone else, because sameness is lameness is a quote that I heard years ago. And I agree with that we should push ourselves to do things that really bring us happiness and not worry about trying to make other people happy or really even worry about what other people think. So again, as you're looking around, there is subtle differences on this to make it the equestrian edition. And one of the things you'll notice is the rivets. And this is a staple here, the corner bracket that we always leave unpainted. And I'll tell you about the rivets, but let me tell you about the corner bracket. So the corner bracket is unpainted. It's a Helderburg staple because I want everyone to understand that a Helderburg is completely disassembled. Every nut, every bolt, every washer, every wire, everything. The engine is taken all the way down to a bare block and then built all the way up. Everything is new. So when we're doing this, when we do the deconstruction of the vehicle and everything gets torn apart, the rear tub, the top caps, the side, everything is removed. And you'll notice there is no paint buildup. And this is pretty common when you look at different classic Defenders that have been restored, that they leave the top cap on and they paint it. They leave the corner bracket, they paint it. But we don't do that in the Helderburg because everything is painted, and the reason for that is the backside has paint too. It also has the primer and the epoxies and all that. It's an aluminum body, and the reason for that is, again, and I say this multiple times, we're not building this for the first owner. We're building this for the second owner, the third owner, is what we're doing. So it's taking the extra time and all these little steps to make sure that this has complete longevity, more than a lifetime. But the rivets that I mentioned too, you'll see that all of the stainless steel rivets on the vehicle are all unpainted. Down the sides, everything is unpainted. So this is a more tedious process. This takes more time, but there's a reason behind the unpainted rivets, and that's because this was the equestrian edition. And I seen this as the additional little, basically if you've been around saddles and stuff, and when you raise it and you're looking at the girth and you'll see the bolts that hold everything together on the girth, that they're generally brass or they're silver, and there's something magical about them as they're against that leather, and they're finished. This looks beautiful, and then as time goes on, they start to get a little bit of a patina that only improves with time. And that's the same thing. These rivets, as time goes on, the color will start to change and it will start to look a little more like nickel. So let's take a look at the interior here. And Lucy's already made herself home in the passenger seat. So the first thing you notice, there's a lot of green in here. But isn't that equestrian? Isn't that British? Of course it is. I mean, there's something beautiful about a green. Hey, Lucy. Lucy. I'm trying to get some contrast here for you. Come here, Lucy. She wants to go for a ride, so forget that. But the green deep plush carpet, I mean, this carpet is just absolutely stunning. And since it's an equestrian edition, I can't think of anybody that's into horses that they don't have dogs. So this has a lot of additional padding under the main carpet, and then also all of the insulating factors, so the heat or the cold doesn't transfer from the outside onto the pup when the pup is sitting, laying, sleeping, taking a nap. And then the additional mat that's in place has additional padding in it too that creates a really nice cozy sleeping area. But again, this carpet is a wool carpet. It's a very special carpet, and it's a luxury vehicle carpet. And then the green in here with the green headliner, all the green leather, it's truly stunning. And then of course the green on the rear door with the brown saddle accents, more or less. So seating for 4 in the rear, seat belts, and the sliding cargo windows. And the reason I did the sliding cargo windows, again, I was thinking about the equestrian lifestyle. You have your dogs, wood perfect way, open up the sliding window, and as you're driving down the road and you look in your side view mirror, seeing your dog hanging its head out and enjoying life. So again, this is Ippos. This is one of one. This is our equestrian edition that we talked about some time ago. Complete, done, and what else can I say other than I find it to be beautiful, and it turned out exactly the way I envisioned it.